Good evening, friends. Today, I am going to speak on a very important topic, the art of observation. These days, we educate and train people about everything in the universe. But ironically, we do not train ourselves about the most basic faculties like seeing, hearing, breathing, behaving, and communicating. Perhaps because these faculties are common and we take all the basic faculties as for granted. The common sense is said to be the most uncommon commodity. Similarly, the most common faculty like seeing is the most important and valuable. But we are unable to put the faculty to its full utilization. Technology teaches us how to swim like a fish and how to fly like a bird, but the innumerable genres of knowledge do not teach us how to see, walk, and behave as human beings. We have inherited a cultural tradition in which those who sit with their eyes closed are called as drashtas. Drashta means seer, the great guru who can see. All the great seers of our ancient past are painted with their eyes closed. They said they saw inward because the world outside, the world that we see around is mithya, that is false. So the main line of Indian philosophical tradition never attached any importance to the world around. We have very rich literature, classified literature of different genre, but we do not have any genuine books on history, geography, botany and zoology, etc. Why? Because for the great Indian seers of ancient ages, there was no fun in wasting time about the outside world which was mithya. But in the same ages, there were Lokaitas who considered this world as the ultimate reality. Lokaitas were a different line of philosophers who discarded the ideas of the existence of God and the Platonic concepts of life and its purpose. They regarded this physical world, the lok, to be the real world. They discarded the concept of Maya and Mithya. It also was then accepted by the mainline Vedantis. The world is infinite and this world is also infinite because if you take out infinity from infinity, this also becomes infinite and that one already was. But the synthesis and acceptance of the world seen around us was lost in course of time and we forgot the art of seeing. This lecture is not merely an attempt to recall that art but also to make ourselves aware of two things. One, the world is worth seeing and the life to see is limited. Seeing is the simplest and fastest form of communication and energy. The speed of light is the fastest of all things and is considered a constant. You can learn, teach, communicate, sympathize, love, hate, enliven, inspire, tease, feed, disapprove, request, or just kill by a look. And there is hardly any other verb in English dictionary which has so many synonyms as for seeing. For example, look, glance, gaze, gape, peep, peek, watch, view, eye, observe, perceive, notice, spot, witness, stare, survey, examine, inspect, and so on. The number of synonyms is an indicator of the importance of the word under discussion. Seeing is a faculty common to everyone. Human beings have a limited range of sight. When we were children, we saw everything with keen interest. But as we grow, we take the faculty to see as for granted. Then, seeing loses its sheen and becomes just a meaningless habit. Anything that becomes a habit loses its charm. So we fail to see the world with interest and are therefore unable to register whatever we see. How to learn the art of seeing? Imagine for a moment that you are blind. Try to feel the darkness around and the lack of colors with closed eyes. Try to feel as if you would never be able to see. Be conscious that this beautiful world and the people around, including you, shall not always be there. Everything is passing by, never to be seen again, and nothing remains the same in the very next moment. It is just a matter of chance that you and I are lucky at the moment to see the varied world. Everything is beautiful and even the most repulsive in an integral part of the entire system. The decadent leaves also are part of the whole that you call garden. In Sanskrit, there are 3 words related with seeing. These are drishti, drishya, and darshan. The capacity to see is drishti. The things that we see in one frame of drishti is drishya, and the capacity to see things in totality is darshan. We have to stop seeing life into the isolated pieces, that is drishya, and convert the same into a holistic view of life, that is darshan. The world is changing very fast. We all know that. But we just know that. We do not feel it. Our solar system is moving away from the center of the universe at the rate of 600 kilometers per second. But do we feel that? No. Similarly, we know that the world is changing fast, but we do not feel that change. Why? Human beings have 5 senses to help them capture the changes around them, but these senses have a limited range. We can see only those colors that our eyes are set to capture, the vibgyor of the rainbow, but colors are also there beyond the infrared and ultraviolet, which are not equipped to see. Similarly, the common man has a limited range to observe and capture and ponder upon the pace of changes taking place around him. If some changes are taking place very fast, generally we are unable to capture and understand it, unless we are especially trained, unless we are trained in the art of observation. Observation forms the very basis of our thought process. If we observe nothing, we can think nothing. Plato said, "I think, therefore I am." I say, I observe, therefore I think. In other words, I observe, therefore I am, and if I do not observe, then certainly I am not alive. Vice versa. The more I am alive, the more observant I shall be. Among all the faculties of observation, seeing is undoubtedly the most important. It is also the most common. But I dare say that though all of us see, most of us do not know the art of seeing. Human civilizations have ignored the need to train up themselves about the most common faculties. We take these faculties for granted and we never feel the need to train ourselves about those faculties. Those senses and those things as we have taken them for granted. I would like to discuss the art of observation, or more specifically, the art of seeing. I would request my audience to close their eyes for a moment and try to recall the color of the costume the person sitting just next to you is wearing. Or try to recall whether you have seen the sun today or the moon yesterday, or the color of the plant that you saw today, or the face of the driver who drives for you, or even the color of your own face when you saw it this morning. The sun rises every day, but how many of us have seen it today? Clinically, our eyes may be perfect. They see things perfectly, but we, the we behind those eyes, do not see. I would like to explain what I mean through a brief article written by a 9-year-old girl who was blind by birth. She wrote, but let me say what she wrote in the first person. She wrote, I cannot see. I do not know the meaning of seeing. My mother tells me that I do not have eyes. I pray to God to grant me eyes just for 3 days. I think if I get eyes, first of all, I want to see the face of my mother who washes me, feeds, and loves me. She does everything for me, but I have never seen her, though I always feel her presence around me. She takes me out of the house every morning. She tells me morning is different from night. I want to see how the morning is different from night. Mom tells me that it is because of the sun whose warmth I feel on my body during my morning stroll. If I get eyes even for 1 day, I would love to see the sun and its light. While walking in the lawn, I feel the softness under my soul. My mom says it is the grass and that it is green. I do not know what is green. Mom says it is a color, that there are thousands of colors around us everywhere. If I get eyes for 3 days, only 3 days, oh God, please. I would love to see the green grass and as many colors as are possible to be seen in 3 days. I do not know how much time it would take to see even one of those thousands of colors. But certainly, I would love to see as many of them as possible and for as much time as possible. Let me have eyes to see just for 3 days. Maybe there are many other things worth seeing. I do not know. But I would love to see everything in those 3 days. The blind girl aspires to see only 3 things: her mother, the green grass, the sun, and the light. Friends, now close your eyes for 3. No, just 1 minute, and try to imagine that you are that girl who could never see anything. Try to imagine that you would never be able to see this beautiful world around you. try to feel the helplessness, the trauma, and the pain of not being able to see. If you can really feel that, I know you'd shudder with fear. But when you open your eyes, you just forget how important the eyes are to your existence. You can intensify your art of observation and your faculty of seeing by being conscious of one cruel fact. The time is passing by. Any moment can be the last moment. The time is limited, and as a houseman has put it, "Of my 80 years and 10, 20 will not come again. Since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs are little room. About the woodland I will go, to see the cherry hung with snow." To see the cherry hung with snow, that is, even the saddest parts of our lives have their beauties. It all depends on whether we are trained to see it. In the general core of day-to-day life, we usually forget even the desire to see things, the colors that life has bountifully presented us. But in our last moments, we cry to see life a little more, alas. हे चिरंतन ठहर कुछ क्षण, शिथिल कर ये मर्म बंधन, देख लूं भर भर नयन, जनवन सुमन उड़ मन किरण, घन जानता अभिसार का चिर, मिलन पथ मुझको बुलाता, कौन गाता, कौन गाता. Who is singing that? Who is craving to see just for one more moment? All of us. Only thing is that we do not even know our cravings. We have forgotten our desire to see and feel and live. Please see if you can.